right, my sense is we'll go ahead and start. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday book celebration. I'm Malika Albrecht, founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild, letting you know that we're open for submissions for the month of August. So we'd love to see your poems that have been rejected elsewhere if you happen to have a few. If you're like me, it's a stack. Super excited about tonight. We had tried another time to bring Samantha in, and our schedules weren't working out perfectly, but tonight we luck out and we get to celebrate with Samantha Deal. If you don't already know her, she's a poet, essayist, and editor from Boone, North Carolina. She holds a BA from UNC-Chapel Hill and an MFA from UNC-Wilmington. She's working currently towards her PhD at Western Michigan University, where she specializes in documentary poetry, hybrid poetics, and American modernism. We're going to have fun discussion. I feel it tonight. Samantha is the winner of the 2016 Writers at Work Fellowship in Creative Nonfiction and has been a finalist for prizes from Mississippi Review, River Styx, and that's just a few. There's multiple other ones. What we're celebrating tonight, if your book came out during the pandemic, you weren't able to get out and do book signings and book launches, and that's why we started our book celebration. But unfortunately for me, I didn't hear about Samantha until I guess maybe a year ago, 6 months ago. Elizabeth Wilson sent me
That's very
Samantha's book.
kind. The lovely
Yes,
Elizabeth.
and I was like, will we get her on here? So we are celebrating tonight. Something Opened was a runner-up for the 2017 Hudson Prize and was published by Black Lawrence Press. I will put a link to buy a copy of the book in the chat section. Samantha, thank you so much for being here and letting us celebrate with you.
Of course. Thank you so much, very much to all of y'all for the kindness and just the I just felt a lot of love from this community like immediately. So I just want to thank y'all for that. I am feeling a little bit under the weather, so apologies if I've got a little frog voice, but I think we'll make it work. If you hear something scurrying around in the background, that is my little dog. Finding new things to chase around the kitchen. So pay it no mind. I'm going to start with some of the poems from the book and hopefully finish with one that's not in the book that speaks to a little bit more of my roots in Appalachia and kind of like it's almost like a tongue-in-cheek sort of response to all of the media about Appalachia post 2016. But anyways, we'll get there when we get there. So, like I mentioned that my book is kind of hybrid. So a lot of the stuff in here did get published as experimental essays. And so this is one of the fun times where I feel like I get to read some of that work because it's a little lengthier. So I'm going to start off with a poem called When I Think About My Brother. And let's see. All right. So when I think about my brother, always he is about to cross a border somewhere between Montana and Alaska. He is breathing his air. He is on the way, almost there, en route, a dotted line bound inside a hand-me-down road map. I was in the 6th grade when he backed out of our driveway to go to school in Texas. An object in motion will stay in motion. Explanations offered by our sad-faced science teacher 6.5 hours after I watched my brother's truck sink into a place that I couldn't see. Years later, my sister would try to explain the artistic necessity of lines and intersections. Vanishing points, she said. At the time, I didn't know there was a word for that kind of disappearance. On the day he left, there was too much sun to see his face, but I do remember his elbow, strung out the open window, almost as if his arm were pinned to a clothesline. It is 1,004 miles from the Blue Ridge Mountains to Dallas, Texas, 3,994 miles from Dallas to Denali. But I don't see how one distance is any different than another. We do not get to choose what we will remember. Not really. For example, the science teacher lifts his hands. When a car stops suddenly, you are thrown forward. This is because you are still moving, even after the car has stopped. Afterimage, remainder, lingering light, whatever you call it, it's strange how what we do see becomes everything we don't see anymore. On the day of our accident, he was wearing a blue hat and a gray t-shirt. There was a hole the size of a penny in the seam of his shoulder. Is this important? Here's what I know. We were less than a mile from home. It was raining. It was a spruce pine, but some people call it an eastern hemlock. There was an orange X brushed into the bark. Nature has rules, the teacher tells us. An object will continue to move unless acted upon by an external force. There were horses in the field across the street. I don't know if I noticed them. I want to know what my brother thought about during that drive to Dallas. I can imagine a red ball of desert sun collapsing into the road like a migraine. I can imagine a pair of olive-knuckled hands on the wheel, a wash of blue behind his eyes. If perfect could be a color, could be anything at all. It would be a pale flood of fog, moving at a constant velocity, a trail of scattered peaks following close behind. Here's what I know. He is a good listener. A lazy grin, a gauzy line between mountain and sky. He is every moss-covered silence, every unmarked road, born into it, this Appalachian lonesome, these homespun family graveyards and curious white crosses rotting along roadside hills. Everything I am afraid I will forget. Imagine how I must have looked to him, leaning against the tree, bits of fender burned into the missing orange bark. For a long time after it happened, he wouldn't drive with me in the car. I used to think of forgiveness as if it was a thing that could be given away, like a photograph or a jacket. But he has grief beneath his fingernails, guilt matted into his hair. Once, a year or two ago, we hit a patch of ice on our way to the store. I'd forgotten the slow split of a headlight cracking, something so loud for such little damage. I remember he beat the wheel like it was on fire. He put his face in his hands. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. But I think he was really saying, I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish. Thank you. Longer ones that I rarely get to read. So I appreciate the opportunity to finally get to read some of the lengthier poems that, if y'all are anything like me, you know it's harder to place a longer poem. So let me see. Go ahead and okay, I got a couple of old ones that that people usually liked. So let me find them. Let's see. That one. Okay, so this is one of two older poems from way back around 2012 or 2013 when I was living at the beach, Wilmington. And having been a swimmer my whole life, water has always been like really just fascinating to me and always, especially my work. But this one's called Sometimes I Want You to Throw Things. And the literal story behind this is that I was annoyed that the guy I was hanging out with at the time didn't want to jump into this cove and see the phosphorescence in the water. Anyways, not to ruin the magic, but that's where this comes from. So sometimes I want you to throw things. You were talking to me about waves, about the difference between sets, about offshore winds and sinking tides. What I want is that I want to collect your lazy freckles and pile them up like goose feather. I want the grease-stuck folds of your palms and your fingers on my stomach like an almost too cold shower. There are some things you cannot say to a person. You taste like toothpaste and floss and rainy weather. I want to be your chewing gum. I want to be the water-heavy air that fills the 4 feet between where I am and where you are. Everyone's beautiful is another person's I don't give a shit. I love you. Sometimes. I don't understand what you mean about drift. Does it frighten you when I talk about mountains? When I say that December is the only month that tastes like December? Are you scared I will fall into my ditch of blue? I'm thinking about the way you fall asleep on your back without any covers. I wish I could do that. If I hate you, it's because I'm jealous. If I'm not making sense, it's because I want you to do it for me. I want you to gather up all my syllables and arrange them into a perfectly constructed paragraph. And I disagree with you about the phosphorescence. It is not the emission of light by bioluminescent plankton. It is the millions of lightning bugs that somehow migrated into the ocean. They've only just figured out how to glow underwater, and they've been waiting on you for years. Okay. Let's see. Usually I pick all my poems beforehand, but this time I figured I would wing it a little bit. All right, let's see. All right, I think I've got a couple more. All right, so I'm going to read one now that is called, let's see. Let's do placeholders. This one's done pretty well. So this one got featured on Verse Daily, and I'm a fan of it. Well, in so much as you can be a fan of your own work, you know, I should probably say I hate it less. But this one is called Placeholders for a Father. Pickle, I see you. I see you. It's a little dog here, just doing dog stuff. Okay, so placeholders for a father found during his mother's funeral. How else to explain those hands? How he sits in the pew just a little too neatly. Something sudden and secret about those arms and legs, about the body that pulled my body forth from nothing, or maybe, assuming there is a God and religion really does mean return, from wherever God hides us before we enter here. He is noticeable in his stillness. I imagine his arm lifted, the space of his hand a cradle supporting our cordless phone, as it does every December when he calls to tell me Rudolph is on PBS. Where do we say we are from once our parents have died? I save their voicemails. Almost out of storage, I delete photos and apps so I can keep on saving their voices. Year after year on record, all the sound aging makes stored on some unseen bit of plastic machinery like a personal cyber audio scrapbook. My father has always loved history books. Sitting with him at the kitchen table after dinner, I learned how to draw the letters that made my name. Historians, he said to me, are the memory of the world. He pressed my fingers into the pencil, made his hand a cast so mine would have a mold in which to fit. Told me they are responsible for writing it all down. Before the service, we walked up to the body single file. We covered her hands and kissed her forehead, but we moved no part of her. This woman, the loss of whom I would never truly feel. For a long time, I could have said no one I've known has died. But then I saw the 2 boys I'd grown up with become fatherless, both dads dead by the time we took the SATs, both having gotten the cancer, and both having lived just a few months longer than expected. I used to watch their profiles in biology, wait for echoes, shades. Then we grew up and went to school. And Derek became a doctor while Paul went crazy, lost his mind in that way where you don't come back. Now, if I think of the body as a house, it is almost possible to understand how no one might be home, how everything has to be held in place by something outside of itself. Other things happened the year of mine and my brother's car accident. For months before she went to sleep and woke up without breasts, my mother drove herself to the hospital and laid shirtless on a metal table under an invisible curtain of radiation. I don't know how many times, and I don't know for how long. They were trying to kill that part of her that didn't know it was killing itself. My father was never there. When I was older, she showed me how the doctors had marked these places, had left behind a series of small black targets. How to admit it, that the human body can be our greatest humiliation. And knowing that, how then are we supposed to let someone else enter? When I imagine being a parent, I think of skin grafts, my mother ordering a surgeon to take from her whatever my legs needed. I think of my father carrying me up the stairs when I was too sleepy to walk, and I know that I do not understand what grief or sadness must feel like. Okay. So I'm going to skip to, it's the word eponymous, the sort of title poem of the collection. It's the last one. Before I skip to a poem that's not in the book. So this one is called Taxonomy of an Automobile Accident. And it was one of those lovely poems that kind of coalesces all at once, you know? They're the ones that you work on for like years and years and years. And then one day you get like that final line and you're like, oh, that's where I can go. This was one of like the like gifts where like you're just looking at your journal or looking at everything and like you just sort of start to like piece things together like it's a jigsaw puzzle. Or at least that's how my brain works. But that is how this poem came to be. And so this one's called Taxonomy of an Automobile Accident. I don't remember being baptized, but I know it happened. It makes perfect sense. All the water and the saving. Most everything you see isn't what you think it is. I was in the 7th grade when a science teacher explained, glass isn't a solid, its pieces are too far apart. This is why old windows sink into their frames, why water can swallow you, can rearrange its parts and fit you inside. All of these things we learn, I don't know what to do with them. If this window is really just a slow-moving liquid, then why won't it let me in? I'm pressing, but all I feel is my palm and the cold surface. It's 42 degrees at 12:04 a.m. A hypertrophic scar will heal with an excess of tissue. An atrophic scar will form a sunken recess in the skin. This is what happens when the supporting structures are lost. Think of drowning, walking pneumonia. If you knew every language, would you have a sound for it? If a scar is the epilogue, what then is the wound? What is a 7-letter word for to name? I am afraid of everything I don't know how. I am afraid that everything I don't know how to say will gather and gape like this. An injury does not become a scar until the wound has healed. If I could, I would call it a deepening, a parking lot full of wind. I'd call it unfixable. I'd call it hollow. Think of a field full of snow. Think of the static glow on the downstairs television. Every light is a house, is a holder, is a person. And how many hands am I not holding right now? I've touched 1,000 windows, and they all feel the same. In kindergarten, they teach you not to write letters from the bottom up. You're supposed to start at the top and drag the ink down. My older sister says there are 2 ways to draw a face. Either you start with the eyes and the mouth, or you start with an outline, a jaw, and some hair. In one version, there is a white space waiting to be finished. There are things that don't grow back. To mend the damage, a scar wall blocks off cell communication. This is where I don't sweat, don't grow hair, don't notice your palm pressed. Skin scars occur when the dermis, that deep, that thick layer of skin, is damaged. This is the missing nerve. Think of a broken faucet, a loose doorknob, a picture frame without a picture. I am convinced everything has a place inside of it, a space meant to hold something else. Think of an old stable, one where the wood's been drenched in horse flank and feed. My older sister was one of those blue-eyed, sullen girls, the pastel sort who seemed to belong with horses. She got paid to sweep out the stalls and came home after dinner full of the smell. Once she told me she'd had this dream where she was riding in the car with me and with James. It was after the accident, but we were all in the Scout. I saw a cloud of dust and then a tree. If I'm quiet enough, I can almost hear it. I've seen the pictures. I know what happened. A skin scar will leave a trace of an original injury. But it did not feel sudden. People talk a lot, but not about some things. It felt like an airport terminal, like waiting to have your name called in class. If I could show you, it would be an interstate at midnight, power line after power line, field after field, tobacco, cotton, grass. There was so much grass. I knew where I was before I opened my eyes. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. I've got one more that's not from the book. Is
And
that
you're gonna read it. Yay!
all right?
Keep going.
Okay, so this is the last one. Thank you. This one came from Best New Poets 2017. I was pretty stoked because I love Natalie Diaz deeply. Amazing poet, and she was the editor for that year. So I think it made it a little more special for me that she picked one of mine, just given how much I respect her work all around. You know, she's just amazing. So, you know, please take this as a pitch for Natalie Diaz too. Her book When My Brother Was an Aztec was really important to me in terms of writing about family and stuff like that. And anyways, I love her, so still feel really stoked about this one. So this is not in the book. Hopefully it'll be in my disheveled second manuscript when I finish it. But it's a bit more about Appalachia than a lot of my other work. And lately with, you know, all of the writing that's out there, some of it amazing and moving and truthful and necessary about Hurricane Helene, and some of the writing that is not those things, to say the least. I really wanted to read this tonight. It's a little bit different, so let's see. All right, so this one is called Litany According to the Laws of Heat in Southern Appalachia. In these parts, the world arrives as if from underwater, less in focus than it ought to be. Got our name from a blue you can't ever see up close. Old folks, they say it's something in the trees, does it? They sit out back all summer and chew silence. Land of the blue smoke, always back of the beyond. We got a shit ton of names for what's far off. August here is a particular backwoods near dark. Hidden is how we like it. Language of might could, got gone. Speak as if unfolding, as if wandering off into the Pentecostal blue yonder. Think refraction. What happens when sunlight has left one thing and moved into another? Think blood thick as static, kin reverb, a dirt gone so deep it becomes a part of you, because nothing changes once you accept your fingernails as they are, the earth beneath, dirt stuck, uneven. Today is the sort of day that makes whatever won't wash out seem as sacred as the high lonesome claw hammer sound when someone says homesick. Get down on your denim knees and kneel to the ghost of asphalt and afternoon. All those long shadows, backyard sprinklers, back and forth of screen door and porch swing, childhood, and all the haunting that goes with it. You would like to remember those nights as barefoot safe and cricket stark, but understand this. It was never a pool of water or oil out there in the distance, only a displaced wave of light colliding with an exhaust pipe or a neighbor's charcoal grill. Only a reflection of sky. This is the gift of drought, what people call highway mirage or heat haze, something slag pile deep, a hum beneath every acre of scorched land. Only a matter of what we need to see in order for our world to make sense. We are sweat and salt, all of us, the same percentage of magnesium in our blood as in the Atlantic. Take this place you would a sunburn. Think naked, think skin, think sex, the kind you regret but don't. Mirage after mirage, the closest you will ever get to the apathy of ocean. as if the wild blue yonder were anything but open, as if it were the sky that came down slurry thick and crystallized coal ash, all slow-like. Take the dirt as you would a breath of water. Take it as you did that boy when you were 15. How smooth, the darksome feel of him on your arms and legs. Amazing what we can do alone to be part of something that works until it doesn't. So go on and push at your optic nerve the way you would with any spring house door that's heavy and hard to shut. Our hands make sense of things as best they can, but it's our eyes that must endure whatever blue savior rises up from beneath this gravel pit. After all, who wouldn't want to remember wearing nothing but that place? The streets and stores abandoned, an entire town gone out of business.
Oh, awesome. That was so good.
Right. My dog had these, so
Oh, good save. Good save. God,
it's
it's amazing what it could get into that quickly.
shiesty. You did it on purpose.
People can unmute. We could just take a moment to say thank you, Samantha. I know people have questions because I saw a comment. Yes. Cindy, I do want to hear you kind of talk about this.
Okay, sorry. I've got the chat open now. I don't think I'm
Okay.
gonna be able to read it all.
Oh,
But
you're not. I'm sending it to you. You don't have to worry about it.
cool.
Um,
It's my like PTSD from Zoom teaching.
exactly where you feel responsible. Don't worry about it. We just want you to sit back and enjoy conversation after that amazing reading. But
Thank
Cindy wrote here, you're an amazing storyteller, Samantha. I was hypnotized by your intense poems and authentic delivery.
you.
And that kind of dovetails what somebody else wrote. And I think it was you, Karen, about the push and pull with authenticity and the details and science. Yeah. Is
Would
that
that
what
be
you said, Karen?
the Appalachian poem?
I
Yeah,
would
I
say
was
all.
trying to find what I said because I'm so in the moment. Yeah,
Well, you named it.
I was so moved. Oh my gosh, it's the science and the factual, the way they push against the personal and the emotional in the poems is just so. I wrote this. I was holding my breath through every single one of these poems. I was just like I would take a breath at the start, like first line, and I'm like,
Um, Thank y'all so much. Sorry, I appreciate it was easier when I was just a Division I college swimmer. You can kind of like hide from people praising you a little bit more.
Well, you might have to put up with a little bit because I do think that talking about something also Michael put something there I don't want you to miss, but it was funny to me how there was movement even in moments of stillness or the thought moving from interior to exterior. I just thought that was masterful. And I think it has more to do with maybe how your mind thinks, and you stayed very like authentic to that source. And I admire it deeply. It made, as a listener and as a reader of your work, for so many things that I was struck by, and how enjoyable that was. Not just how clear you got an image or a detail like the elbow in the window, but also how clear you moved into an interior uh, monologue with yourself, or the speaker did. And I just deeply was moved by that.
It felt like you were speaking directly to each one of us. I felt so, it's conversational. There was one line, I think, where I forget the line, but I think you said something like, does this need to be here, or something like that, where you like stop in the middle of the poem to ask, like, ask the reader a question, does this need to be here, or, does this make sense? Something like that. And
I appreciate that so much.
And I also love the fact that you pronounce Appalachia correctly. I'm very, because people say Appalachia. And
they do indeed.
Yes. And I learned a long time ago it's Appalachia.
Well,
fascinating.
honest to God, we don't hate foreigners. We're really not like that. We just don't like it when folks come down and then proceed to tell us that we're pronouncing it wrong.
Right.
We enjoy that less. That feels just a bit condescending sometimes. Not like a lot of people don't do it on purpose, and you can feel that as a local. Like you're just like, oh, well, say it this time next, especially if you're in public. Say it like this.
Bless your heart.
Right. Trying to help them out. Like, if they know and they've already been corrected and they're going to proceed doing it, you kind of want to be like, all right, go forth. That works out for you. But I'm thinking of this one poem. A lot of the stuff that y'all have said, like, I just got to shout out to my biggest influences, Claudia Rankine, like, in terms of like her work with like what some people call documentary poetics or like docu-poetry, like just how she, especially in Don't Let Me Be Lonely, I mean, Citizen's amazing as well, and I'm reading her newer book now, but she, I'm so fortunate that I was able to read her work and the work of Charles Wright when I was like first building these poems, because I think they taught me or helped me understand how to take a personal experience and make it speak to other people or weave other things into it that made it, not just like this sort of ancillary thing that is just mine, but I want it to be something that speaks to everyone. And there's this line, someone will know who it is. Michael White will probably know who it is, but it's like, and what about you? Isn't this your life? It's a famous poem. I want to say it's a sonnet, but like it kind of ends with those lines, like that turn. And what about you, reader? Isn't this your life? Didn't this happen to you? And that just stuck with me in terms of just like a gut punch, but a good way. Yeah. So anyways, I do feel
Your friend just wrote feeling famous adjacent. Your friend Matthew just
he's the one who wouldn't jump into the
I love
oh,
that.
that's awesome.
he wouldn't jump into the wherever we were.
Had he seen the poll before? I'm assuming yes.
He's seen it.
The
And
first time hearing it read.
So don't go searching for Todd's boat. But yeah, that thank you, Matt. Glad you're here. Big inspiration.
So talking about process,
You're welcome.
it sounds thank you for inspiring that poem.
Right.
It sounds like you keep a journal and you come back to it, and that's one of the things. But if you could talk a little bit about how this book came together. When did you know that it was ready?
I mean, not until someone picked it up, and then I just had to be done with it. But honestly, like I had gotten so much, like this is a terrible thing to complain about because it's like, oh, poor me, my diamond slippers. Like I just got a ton of interest in. It was my first book, obviously, so I got a ton of interest in it. That was like finalist after finalist after finalist gig, and it got to where like I forget how many, but we had counted it up. Me and my friend Michael Marbury, another amazing writer. Y'all haven't heard of him. Counted it up, and it was like upwards of 30 or more like finalist things, and I was just like kept tweaking it, and in the end I wonder if the like first one that I sent out was probably the better one, but I try not to worry about that anymore. Just don't think about it as much. This manuscript was like the 18-year-old child that had been living at home and had to go. Like, had to go somewhere else. Like we've been living to you can self-sustain. You must go forth. But it's interesting. I go to poetry or to journaling almost as, what water does for like my physical well-being, just being in the pool, is something that writing does for like me mentally and the way that my brain works. And I don't want to get like too into, oh my gosh, I'm ADD, because like the internet has sort of co-opted it and just made it a meme. So there's so much more to it than that. But, when writing in a journal, like I never have to kind of do that reverse engineering. I can just follow wherever my brain goes. And then I go back and look at it. And, as I go back and read stuff, I've even gone so far as to like highlight things that have like different thematic like elements and then retype out just like these various lines and almost like cut them up and like rearrange them.
Mm.
It's a very, yeah, I quite don't know what else to call it, or almost sometimes, especially if it's a longer, more like experimental poem slash essay, or essays disguised as poems, as I used to call them. For those, a lot of the time it takes quite a bit, a long time to figure them out. But yeah, for those, one of the metaphors I've said in the past is that I feel like, to make my brain a concrete metaphor, I feel like it's just like this giant field with these file boxes that are just scattered everywhere and like named different things possibly. And I'm like running around like, I need this one, I need that one, I need this one, like collecting things for my brain. And then like I get them all out there and then I'm like, okay, now let's like put the puzzle together. If that process makes any sense. And even just like doing that and then working to like reconstruct it, new things will come up. It's a very sort of like palimpsest, like, work from the inside out sort of thing.
Mhm.
And the main thing that I brought that up in terms of like, water is where I go to physically trust my own body, right? Like I never trust myself more than when I'm swimming because it's such a deep part of, my life. And I think journaling especially is the same place for me. Like it's where my mind goes to feel safe with how it works. Like it doesn't have to circle back. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to like try to translate it to like a normal conversation. It can just work the way my brain works. And I'll go back and figure out why I made that leap from here to there another time. If that makes any sense. So
I love that image because the sense I got was like allowing yourself, the field is kind of like that freedom to go from one box to the next and not be micromanaging, just letting, kind of like the buoyancy of water. It's the buoyancy of writing, and just letting it flow, letting it go. That was the image that worked for me. Laura, do you think you found the poem that Samantha was referencing?
Phillipsburg, I think that's it.
That's awesome.
Kudos, thank you. Yeah, if anyone hasn't
Thanks.
read it, I think I'm right. I think it is a sonnet, but I know it's got that like huge turn where it just speaks to the reader. And I want to say I read it in one of Michael White's classes, but yeah, it stuck with me so hard because all the stuff in the poem I could relate to, but in a certain way, like I felt a degree of like distance from. And then like it flips on a dime and it's like, and you, isn't this your life? And it's just like, yeah, that and the idea of like asking questions instead of making statements, I think was something that just a few things that different teachers, I think Milena Morling had been a teacher of mine who was really big on that. She was like, what? There's one poem where she was just like, I think you should include the sky in this poem. I think you just need the sky, which was an excellent insight on her part, but also just sort of a microcosm of her style to begin with. But she was really big on, questions can sometimes have more power than answers or statements. And so don't be afraid to ask a question and have no resolution, which is very hard, easier said than done in the beginning, I think. So.
Very true. Anybody have any specific questions for Samantha? Any thoughts? So I think I went through the chat section. I don't think I missed anything. If I did, you're going to have to jump in. Oh yeah, jump in, Elizabeth.
I just want to say, finally. Oh, oh my God.
Oh no.
I finally get to hear your poems. Thank Great. This has been so great.
Thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth. Appreciate it.
If somebody wanted a signed copy, could they reach out to you, Samantha?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, phone. I try to check my Facebook. Not as great at it, but I try. Absolutely.
Email, maybe I could put the email in there.
Yeah, the email is good. If y'all want to reach me by phone, I'm fine with that too. Yeah.
I'll put the email address in there at some point. I can do that next.
Sure.
And I'll make sure, so be looking for it. If you want a signed copy, if you want just a copy, you can reach out to Black Lawrence Press. I've got the link in the chat section. And I feel like we are ready to move towards open mic.
Yeah.
Samantha, thank you so much. That was it was
Thank y'all.
delighting on so many different levels. And I loved hearing the conversation and your thoughts behind your process. That was amazing.
No, I really
I'm just
appreciate
glad it worked out for some. And Elizabeth, thank you for connecting us.
Yes, thank you so much.
You knew that I'd be in total admiration.
I appreciate it.
Okay. I have Cindy, Christy, Regina, Laura, and Bob. Did I miss anybody for reading? Karen, I don't see you on there.
Oh, I spaced out. Yeah, I'll read some.
Awesome. Michael or Matthew, Elizabeth, anybody else want to read? No pressure. We're just glad you're here. All right, guys. Cindy, if I got you first.
Okay. So this is, there are many reasons why the name Redheaded Stepchild means something to me. Number one, because of all the poems I get rejected, but also because some of you know I am a stepchild. My mother passed away when I was very young. My father had the good sense to remarry. My stepmother lived till 103. She died in 2023. And this is my poem for her. Gratitude. Small lady in one tough package, such a hard act to follow. Tiny feet with bunions, and yet I often stumbled over your wide, capable footsteps. You gave me everything, Mom. Your AA batteries, your bedroom, your blankets, your cereal, your feistiness, your lampshade hat. Oh, that was a doozy, that hat. I still have it. Your money, your soap, your socks, your sweetness, your tilapia, your underwear, your extra seat for the Russian ballet at Lincoln Center, your white peaches, your wisdom. You gave me everything you had. And now, on your birthday, her birthday is Saturday, without you, I am here in the house you gave me, heartbroken, but grateful that you chose to give me the gift of being my mom.
That is beautiful.
Thank
Thank you. You caught me off guard because I was like,
Because
I'm still stuck on your science poem that you read. Just somebody else.
I run the gamut.
You really do. And I love that. I love that. I have Christy next, and make sure you check the chat section.
This poem hasn't found a home yet, but I hope it will. This is called Saturday Morning Yard Sale after Ada Limon. I found an abandoned raincoat swinging in the wind like a panicked apology, calling out to leashed dreams. Let go in favor of common miracles, baited with orange leaves and a feather of hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. I go thrift store shopping with you.
Like a panicked apology.
Thanks.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Had a vivid image with that one and stayed. I have Regina next.
Hello, everybody. Somebody help me. I'm a woman of a certain age. Have I read Witness Water here?
Not to me.
Familiar.
I was gonna say, I don't think so, Regina. That doesn't ring a bell.
It doesn't
But
ring a bell.
I'm a little bit older than that woman of a certain age.
Okay.
I haven't heard it, so
You haven't heard, well, I pulled it because of you, Samantha. Your reading was wonderful, and I think back in the comments somewhere, I say some of the words just continue to resonate: water and borders and saving, and all of that, all of these things that Malika and Karen and Christy know that I write a lot about. This poem. I actually employ the water as witness water. I remember being leaned backwards, dunked into a body of water like so many of my kindred before me, preparing to submerge in rivers, lakes, oceans, across continents, some cloaked in midnight skies, some wrapped in rose-tinted clouds, some robed in terracotta brown earth, all lined up to cleanse and ascend, live holy, shame dripping off, hands held up to be deemed righteous before one God or another. I wonder what the water saw when eyes closed and hearts opened. I wonder if the water saw what those hearts really wanted from the babbling brooks, the flowing streams, the river basins, the disquieted seas, pools of water deemed anointed. This water that has carried the living, trafficked and covered the dead, now teeming with new life, readied to intake the old. But I wonder what the water saw. I wonder if she told God. Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
I don't think you had read that one. I was struck by what did the water see?
Right.
oh, I love the sounds too. If we're gonna be fancy about it, the assonance and the all that stuff. But you can just tell, those long vowels hung in the air at just the right places, and it's one of those things where the sound matches matches the feeling, and I love that. Especially when you're writing about the environment in any way. And the idea that water's silent witness, comforting and killing both times.
Right.
I love that. I'm so glad I got to hear you read it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We do have a kick-ass open mic always, Sam. And you said something, it wouldn't surprise you to find out that Regina is also a singer, right? Because you really picked up on her ability to hear how a word calls to another word.
I've got a music background myself. I was in choir, but I wouldn't call myself anybody special for singing. But
we should collaborate. Right?
Do it.
I would, I've told somebody before that I would love to be a musician and not a poet, because if I was a musician, I felt like I could scream.
Right.
But yeah.
I just walk around singing all the time, I think.
Yeah. In my head, I'm playing guitar or flute or something, trying to pretend I could sing. But I loved the musicality of it. It came through so beautifully.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to what y'all should collaborate. Right now, exchange email.
Right.
How do I do that?
In the chat section, right to each other. And I don't see why you can't sing and scream.
Right.
That's exactly. But I haven't figured out how to do it in a poem yet. I don't have enough exclamation.
Might happen with Regina.
Y'all, I'm not gonna. Okay, hold on. There we go.
Okay, and Regina put hers in the chat section. Laura, have you next?
Hey, everybody. This is short. Everybody's reading these epic long poems. This came out of a workshop a while ago. It's called My Injury. My injury is hungry, rock-like, lumpy, rock-like, an ancient wound gift wrapped by a child, inexpertly, but with love. It can only be unwrapped by kind and gentle hands, tenderly, layer by layer, tape unsealed, paper unfurled, until at last a shining stone sits in the palm of your soft hand. Thank you.
Well, damn, Laura. I love that.
That was Angela Driven workshop.
Okay, and that's where you wrote it? Yeah, and of course, if you haven't heard of Karen and Angela's collaboration, you definitely want to. And Karen, maybe you could put a link to your YouTube channel there. Angela, we got to feature for her first book that came out from Main Street Rag. Every Girl is my mind's. Oh, it works. Yay. But Laura, damn, go to Laura with her. Yep. Bob, I have you next.
Okay, this is an extremely short poem. Sonata. The ants crawling on the music stave indicate the notes that must be played.
Oh, Bob. And I love it when you warn me, because then I don't get caught up in trying to catch something. I just pay attention, because if it hits me unexpected, I'm always like, wait, I need it.
So unique.
Yeah,
My
I
Bob is
enjoy
so
that about Bob.
unique.
And I think that's what I most admire about this group is the authenticity. And I think if I saw the poems without, knowing whose they were, I could probably sense who wrote it. I
Yeah.
think we know each other that well. And just like a fingerprint, poems have that identifying mark. If you're closely in there, if you're being, vulnerable and authentic, there's something that comes across that is identifiable.
When are you gonna read, Malika?
I
I really would love to. You should.
Oh, the peer
You
pressure.
should end the reading.
I guess the
yours.
reason I didn't do that is a matter of course. Yeah, great goodness is what I don't want you to miss, but it's just because I like facilitating. It's two different things, and I
Yeah.
always feel uncomfortable doing so.
I
Occasionally I do.
understand that.
Hear you. It's hard to be used to facilitating a Zoom meeting and then not being the one doing it. It's tough.
Yes. Yeah, and so it's two different kind of hats. Perfect way to say it.
Mhm.
But I have thought about starting to read just from the book, a book. It'd be easy enough. Especially when we have time. I definitely don't like to do it when we're already running low on time. I just think and so it's weird because I get to choose where I put my name, where, I don't know. It just seems awkward. Let's go to Karen. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, I promise this is the last postcard poem I'm reading from this
Don't
year's
stop
post.
doing those.
I mailed the last ones today, so I'm going to quit talking about them. But I did want to. So this is a collage that I had done a while back. It's on board. And I made two postcards out of this by just putting this on the printer and cutting it in half. Anyway, so this is a poem that was inspired by this part of that. And I thought it was finished, and the first part was just me feeling my Wheaties. And then the second part came to me a couple days later when I was like, God, I'm not doing so well. I think I need some help. Anyway, so 2-part poem, 2 different days. Swing wild. Hold on and lean back and then forward. Press knees together, move ankles apart if need be. This is no time for kicking up dirt. This is time to be pumping, releasing, and soaring, if you dare, into air. Of pushing me in swings. I can pump my legs, lean in, lean back enough to see into sky, into earth. But I need you sometimes to push me, to swing me into wings, so that I might fly the days a ways into night's sweet whispering okays.
Gorgeous. Also, there's a lot of sensuality in that last part. I really enjoyed that, Karen.
It surprised me.
Yeah, I was going to say that you stepped out of your comfort zone, which is fabulous.
Yeah, I was
I
out of my
think.
comfort zone. I thought I was done, and then I looked at the card again, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! Oh,
Your
let me
collage
go deeper."
matches your shirt. And I happen to
Oh,
be
yeah,
partial
right.
to blue for obvious reasons.
Yes, it
It
does.
didn't match.
I'm on a theme.
I would be sad if you stopped your postcard poems, though. That's part of the thing I enjoy,
Yeah.
I mean, because you're multi-talented, it's just nice,
It's
I
fun.
think,
I'll do it
for
I'll do it
us.
next year. It starts up in
Okay.
July, and it used to just be the 1 month, but now they've let you go for 2 months. So you get a list of 31 people that you don't know, and I'm getting great postcards from them, and they're getting whatever crazy I'm sending them. So yeah.
Never crazy. I'm sending them. I think they're lucky, and those are collectibles in my book. You
Oh,
could do your own, oracle cards from all your postcards. I'm convinced of that, to be
yeah,
honest.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, and keep the poems, with them. I don't know. You could do something like that.
Yeah, I have an elaborate filing system, so yeah, I've got everything.
Oh, you seem like you're organized. God, I
Yeah,
remember.
it's surprising.
It's amazing and definitely something I'm envious of. Filing system is all associative. And you have to know what that leaping point off is. And I don't always remember. Oh, this is the color yellow that's round.
Oh,
Of course it's there.
there
Run
you go.
around your
Yeah.
brain and gather that stuff up,
Exactly. That's why I understood your playground. I was like, yep, no, I can see that. Oh my God. Yeah, we do have the best features and best open mic. Oh, and the warmest hosts. I do love hearing the accents too. Well, thank you guys so very much. Always such a
good.
joy to be in your good company. And next time I will be prepared. I'll pick out a poem and have it nearby.
We're gonna hold you to
Yep,
that.
I already knew. If I say it out loud, I'm committed.
It is so.
Sam, thank you so much. It was so amazing to hear you read them.
I'm so thankful to y'all for having me. This was a really, it's a great space. I'm super glad that I was introduced to it. Hopefully I'll try my best to plan on being back.
We would love to have you. And if you do, bring your new work. It's a good place to hear it read out loud.
Yeah, a good way for me to get back into trying to get it ready.
Yeah, it does. I think that's one of the good things is that synergistically, we've even had poems that were written in response to a poem read at open mic, which I love that. Inspiration from our good company.
I always feel inspired by these poems. There's such a varied mix. I agree with you that I would know everybody's poems by their imprint.
So you feel that too?
Mhm.
I think everybody would. I feel like all of y'all know each other well enough that you would know this is, this is so and so's poem.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
It is. That's nice. It's like a big crazy family.
I want that shirt. Bob, do you have a shirt like that? Bob gave me a whole bunch of flannel plaid shirts.
So you need a blue plaid?
But he didn't give me a blue one.
We got tons of them
the
down
blue.
here right now.
I was gonna say we should shop around and get you a blue one. We'll go with Christy thrift store shopping.
There you go.
Yard sailing. All right, guys. Be well. See you next week.